Hey everyone, and welcome. So let's talk about our modern celebrity culture. You know, the 24/7 news cycle, reality TV, the absolute obsession with the private lives of famous people. Have you ever wondered where it all came from? Well, it turns out it has a very specific origin story, born in one wild, messy, and totally unforgettable decade, the 1990s. Way back in 1961, the historian Daniel Boorstin wrote this, and honestly, it's kind of spooky how accurate it is. He basically saw the future. A future where fame wasn't about what you did, but just about the fact that people knew who you were. He called the celebrity a human pseudo-event, and I mean, come on, does that not perfectly nail the media world we're all living in today? So, right, how did we get here? How did we go from the curated glamour of old Hollywood to, well, the relentless celebrity machine we have now? The thing is, it wasn't some slow, gradual change. It was a huge, sudden shift. And the 1990s was the decade that lit the fuse. Okay, let's really get into it. To understand just how big of a change this was, we first have to get on the same page about what a modern celebrity really is, because it's a totally different kind of fame than what came before it. And this right here, this is the absolute key. A person becomes a modern celebrity at the exact moment the media, and all of us really, decide that their private life is way more interesting than their actual work. Think about an actor whose every breakup gets more headlines than their last 3 movies. That is the transition. That's the engine that drives modern fame.
So why the 90s? Why then? Well, it was basically a perfect storm. You had this explosion of new technology and a real shift in what the public wanted to see. And it all came together to create a brand new and very hungry kind of media machine.
It actually started a little earlier, in the late 80s, with these tabloid TV shows that proved, hey, people have a huge appetite for gossip. Then, boom, the internet shows up. A giant, empty space that needed to be filled with content, constantly. And this all came to a head with 2 massive events. The OJ trial, which turned the justice system into a nonstop TV drama, and then the Drudge Report breaking a presidential scandal online, proving that the internet could be faster and louder than traditional news. Just like that, a relentless 24/7 news cycle was born. What's so wild to see here is just how completely the rules of journalism got flipped on their head. I mean, look at this. Traditional news was all about public life, verified sources, staying objective. The new tabloid model did a complete 180. It was all about private lives, paying for stories, hitting you right in the feels, and most importantly, turning news into entertainment. So you've got this new media machine with an appetite that just won't quit. It needed fuel, nonstop fuel. And wow, did the 90s serve up an all-you-can-eat buffet of scandals that just blurred every single line you could think of. First, you had these scandals that were all about public performance, where the spectacle itself was the entire story. It wasn't just about a pop group lip-syncing, it was the public humiliation of having to give back a Grammy. It wasn't just a bad singer, it was Roseanne's whole defiant, shocking act. These were moments you couldn't look away from, and they were broadcast to everyone. But then, the focus shifted somewhere even more intense. It moved from public spectacles to the deeply, deeply personal. The media started dragging private and sometimes criminal issues out into the open for everyone to see. All of a sudden, really sensitive topics, things that used to be kept behind closed doors, were being debated on talk shows and splashed across magazine covers. The wall between private and public life just crumbled. So the crucial takeaway here is that these weren't just a bunch of random, sensational stories. No, they were fundamentally rewiring our relationship with fame and the media. And there was one event, one massive event, that really cemented the new rules of the game. The OJ trial. This is what you call a monocultural event. It was so huge that literally everyone everywhere was watching. You couldn't escape it. It was the ultimate reality show before we even had reality shows. It had everything: celebrity, race, sex, murder, and it was served up as a daily spectacle that the new 24/7 news cycle could feast on for more than a year. And this slide just perfectly captures the long-term damage, or legacy, depending on how you look at it. The trial taught the media, and us, the audience, that a really good story, a dramatic narrative, could feel more compelling than the actual facts. It created this hunger for courtroom drama that's still with us today. It basically wrote the playbook for reality TV and set the stage for everything that came next. So all of this whole chaotic, messy, fascinating decade, it leads us directly to the world we live in right now. The culture that was forged in the 90s isn't just history, it's the foundation of pretty much our entire modern media landscape. You know that feeling when you feel like you actually know a celebrity? Like you're invested in their drama and their life? Well, there's a name for that: parasocial interaction. And that constant, intimate look into celebrities' lives during the 90s made this feeling completely normal. This one-sided intimacy is the bedrock of today's fan culture, of social media, all of it.
And where does that logically lead? Straight to reality TV. I mean, think about it. If the public is more interested in someone's private life than their professional talent, well, why not just get rid of the talent part altogether? The 90s proved that simply being watched could be a talent in itself, and you could create a celebrity out of thin air. It's the ultimate example of what Borston said, being well-known for your well-knownness.
So why does any of this really matter? Is it just gossip? Well, the cultural theorist P. David Marshall puts it perfectly. Celebrities aren't just for entertainment. They're like a public stage where we all get together to argue about our culture's values. You know, when we were all debating Sinead O'Connor, we were really arguing about religion and respect. When we dissected the Clinton scandal, we were really fighting about sex and power and privacy. Celebrities become the stand-ins for our biggest cultural conversations. The bottom line is, the 90s completely shattered the old system of fame and built a new one, based on scandal, access, and personality. It basically democratized fame, for better or for worse, which leads us right to today's world of influencers and micro-celebrities. So the question we're left with is this: if the 90s taught us that anyone can be famous for pretty much anything, what does celebrity even mean today? What's the actual value of fame now?